Okay, so on this real engineering installment, we're going to make an air tank, an integral air tank for this YJ Jeep, the Blessed Jeep. I call it the Blessed Jeep. It'll explain why I'm even doing this. So, yeah, I mean, I'm new to Jeeping. Got this thing maybe almost 3 years ago, used of course, and it's blessed because it's never let me down. And so what's driving me to this latest project over Thanksgiving, I had mom and dad ran a Jeep. My bro from Idaho, Doug, brought his family down to Jeep, as well as the daughter's boyfriend's parents. They got a Jeep and we all went down to Moab, and so we did fins and things on Thanksgiving, and then went to Secret Spire and Dallenbaugh Tunnel and got home on Long Canyon. The next day we did Elephant Hill, and if you don't want to hear me ramble on, I'm not going to be insulted. You can advance the video to show the meat and potatoes of this, but it's a good story. So we did Elephant Hill. I T-barred it down because it's a pretty good distance away from Moab, and it's in Canyonlands, southern part actually. And so the ranger, she says, it's one of the toughest trails in Utah, and they had recovered 3 people this year, blah, blah, blah. So immediately the wife's stressing. But yeah, it was a challenging trail. This thing has an air locker, which I actually needed. I guess, I used it coming when we climbed back over Elephant Hill to get out of there. But yeah, I mean, the Jeep worked fine. Had kind of an Exxon Valdez leak on the tranny oil pan. It looked like the drive shaft maybe tagged the side and peeled the lip, which had happened to me in the past on another lucky occasion when the motor mount was bad. But yeah, as it turns out, the tranny rubberized mount had failed, and that allowed things to move around. Anyway, so that was one thing it didn't let me down in the field because of, and it definitely could have. But you know, before we went down, I identified a ball joint, a little bit of slop, so I replaced that. And when I put it back together and did a test drive, I noticed that my air locker didn't work. And upon inspection, the guts of the air compressor were hanging out. So that drove me to upgrade to this unit, this newer ARB. The one on here, it came with it. It was old school, but the guts, like I say, were running out or falling out, and so that caused my air locker not to work. So yeah, in doing this, you know, replacement, I figured, you know, it might be nice to give some capacitance to this air system. So yeah, when I got this new air compressor, thought it'd be nice to add some capacitance to the air system. And so, you know, there are various ways, various air tanks that aftermarket sells, but I noticed this tube right here. It's about a just over 2 3/4 diameter, and it's 34 inches long. And so the volume of that thing is right around 80% of a gallon. So I thought, yeah, it might be slick to turn that into an air tank that I could attach to this air compressor. And so that's what I'm going to do. So I went to my local steel shop. They sell these 3-inch discs, like $1.50. And so the idea is to cap each end with the welder, obviously. And then I went online to McMaster Car and compiled a group of parts to help me to finish this project. And so This is threaded bushing steel that I will, once this is attached, I will drill a hole and then weld this bushing, which has pipe threads. They are 1/4 inch pipe thread, and then I'll have a T wherein the feed line. I have an auxiliary port. This is a solenoid on the air compressor. This auxiliary port can feed the tank, and the other side I could have a quick disconnect for a hose, say for filling tires or what have you. And so on top of that, I plan on putting a valve in that line in the event that something busts this off, then I can still run my air locker. I got the appropriate fittings, and I have from Speedway Motors some braided AN type hoses, and so hopefully this will all go well, and I'll have a slick little integral air tank to help with my onboard air system. Okay, so as you can see, I needed to kind of detach my front bumper to allow access to this joint. And I ain't gonna lie, this was a little challenging. In particular, getting this side to weld. I actually disconnected my sway bar and jacked the Jeep up so I can get in there, and there was some overhead welding. That's all fun. And I did grind this circle down because it is oversized to kind of give me access with my welder gun. Patience and the grinder kind of help you get most things done, and anything worth doing ain't easy. So yeah, this is one end capped. Looks like I got pretty good weldment all the way around it. So I'll attach this end, do the same process on the other end, except I'm not going to fully weld it. I'll just tack it, drill my hole so that I have some vent. I guess this is a pretty big volume, it probably doesn't matter, but it's just good practice to vent it so this tube isn't filling with gases and blowing your weld beads open as it's trying to ventilate. But yeah, I'll cap the other end, weld that bushing on, and then that's pretty much the tank. And I guess once that's done, I'll just show the connection of the system with the hoses and such. And hopefully I'm going to be able to knock this out in a couple, 3 hours. Have a pretty cool little tank. Of course, I'll throw some Rust-Oleum on that ugliness. The beauty of a 30-year-old Jeep is I can freeform this and come up with things, and if they don't have to be beautiful like they would on your $50,000 new vehicle, but it doesn't need to be beautiful. It just needs to work out in the field. Okay, here we're on this dreary Utah winter's day, and just the finished product. I gotta say, capping these ends and getting them to be leak-proof required me to make a lot of passes on the weld, but I finally got it to stop leaking. It was real helpful to use soapy water and spray it on the weld after pressurizing the tank. Like I say, I'll provide a parts list, but this is just a female, male fitting, 1/4 inch NPT. That's a weld bung, threads into a weld bung, and then this is a JIC fitting, which has pipe thread, 1/4 inch, I believe, pipe thread, and then I think it was a -4 JIC end. And so just run this braided line as shown. I put a valve on it in the event that a rock or something, you know, if this got busted off for whatever reason, I can turn this valve off and still run my air locker. Yeah, this is the air compressor, obviously. This is the solenoid that goes to the air locker. They provide another port with the, you know, the air fitting if I need it. But yeah, it works, holds air. I'm gonna do some playing with it to see if it reduces like time, you know, to fill a tire or something like that. But yeah, it's kind of cool. Like I say, integrated, utilizing that cross tube that the YJ has. And I guess before ending, you know, when I first started this, I thought I could lay a bead on it and it wouldn't leak, and found out otherwise. And in researching it, you know, it does make it into a pressure vessel, and so, you know, there's concerns of it rupturing and things like that if, you know, you don't feel comfortable building that. I totally get it. So, you know, there is some implied risk here, but this pump has a pressure valve, 110 psi. It keeps the system between 80 and 110 psi, so not super worried about it in reality. Like I say, these are 1/8 inch end caps, and the tube itself has about an 1/8 inch wall, so I think the risks are probably pretty low. But you know, if you decide to do something like this, beware. But yeah, pretty cool. Gives me, you know, options for air. I don't know if this would run an air tool. I'm gonna play with it. I doubt it, but I can at least, you know, stick a hose and air up tires and whatnot. And it certainly does, you know, give this system with the air lockers. Like, I have several hits before the pump or the air compressor has to come back on, so that's kind of convenient. Yeah, kind of a fun little project. It's kind of unique, I guess, having that built in. And so there, I got about a gallon capacity now with this system, and that's not too bad. So hopefully this entertained you. Like and subscribe. If you undertake this, be careful. We're gonna, like I say, we'll provide a parts list for you, and yeah, like this channel. My kids need a Ferrari. I told them if whatever profits YouTube were to pay, I'm gonna give it to them. So yeah, you know, they need a Ferrari. It's important, and I'm kidding, but I appreciate, you know, all the positive feedbacks I got to this point, and we'll try to put some more of these things out.